Well, but yeah, I mean, we've seen it over and over again. We saw it in the 50s and the 60s. I mean, Birmingham was that moment in the movement
Yes.
when the whole nation was watching these young people,
Right.
you know,
Yes.
who was showing us the ugliness,
Right.
and it arrested enough people, and more people became aware of a movement
Yes.
that was a Southern movement, and now understood that there were some things that were happening, that were unjust and needed to be addressed. And of course, we eventually got the Civil Rights Act.
Right.
But then, I mean, when you think about Vietnam and the young people,
Right.
who stood up during that time and that movement, when we talk about today, the reason we're having this discussion, the reason, you know, so many other people are having their discussions is because of young people. I
Right.
mean, the March for Our Lives,
Right. Right.
look what they have done to kind of help raise our awareness and
Right.
consciousness.
Right.
And they keep us on our tippy toes. I
Right.
mean, whenever it gets so bad, it's something that seems like every now and then there's this burst of youthful energy, and um, pricking.
Right.
It's like, agitation.
Right.
You know, so yeah, I
Well,
mean, but on the other hand, we have a responsibility to ensure that our young people, those of us who have been young people and active in movement in particular, we have a responsibility to ensure that they are fully educated and prepared, and connected to the movements of the past,
mhm.
so that it's grounded appropriately, and that they can not just express themselves in terms of their disgust,
Right.
of an unjust systems,
Mhm.
but also so that they can develop the strategy to kind of help
Mhm.
change things.
Well, and I have to say this as I've gotten older and yeah, I've gotten a little prickly about this. I hear more young people now saying things like, "Well, you're part of that older generation," but the way I hear it, and that's true, but
Mm,
what I hear though is that somehow because we have gotten older and are not young, and we're lucky if we get older, then we're no longer contributing. And that has come up at least twice in my
wow.
presence where people say, well, it just happened a couple of weeks ago at a summit. And the person says, well, your generation has sort of, laid the framework, but we're actually doing the work.
Mm.
How do you address that when people have put us out to pasture? And we're of a certain age. I've seen, we're of a certain age, but and I know first of all, I can't take that personally. So once I take it personally and sort of get over it,
Right,
and I realize that I'm still doing work and I don't have to convince you of that.
right,
And then
right,
I
right, right.
know. Right. So how do you deal with that when people say, well, Dr. Bernice King, you have a certain age and young people are actually doing the work now?
Well, I don't take it personally.
Oh, okay.
I really don't, because I get it. I mean, um, every generation has a little bit of that sentiment. A little bit of it has just gotten greater
Okay.
in this generation for me, because I know it's not true.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I know that they have a limited understanding of what the work really entails. That being in the streets is one aspect.
Right.
You
Yes.
know what I'm saying? There are so many roles, and it's multifaceted in a movement, in campaigns that people play,
Mhm.
and it's not confined to any generation.
Okay.
In terms of age,
Right.
it's confined to a generation of time, but not necessarily an age generation.
Right.
And